My name's Cole Parkinson, and I'm the executive director at Carry On, and studied psychology and received my master's degree in sports psychology. And I skateboard, sort of, a learning skateboarder. If you get a hold of any of my learning how to drop in skateboarding tapes, you'll enjoy them, because I'm not naturally just a skateboarder. I got involved because of the mental health background and sports psychology. I did grow up snowboarding, though. That's kind of my first action sports love. And yeah, we teach mental health through skateboarding here at Carry On, and it's quite an incredible mission and something I'm really proud of, and excited to continue to evolve and grow and hopefully impact a lot of people ahead. I've always loved sports. I've always been super fascinated with performance, and I think especially like the mind. You know, I remember like watching Michael Jordan videos and inspiration, and like he could do all these incredible things, and because his mind was stronger than everybody else's, right? And I had these kind of ideas in my mind, and I use Michael Jordan as an example because I grew up loving basketball. That was like my thing. It was basketball. Like, you know, ask any of my neighbors, they'll tell you, like, you used to be out here all the time playing basketball and training, and I was so into it, and I wanted to be the best. I had the posters on the wall. I wanted to be in the NBA. I wanted to do all these things, right? And so at a very young age, I became very almost obsessive with this idea of like being the very best basketball player in the world. And parents supported me. They were great, but you know, not super tall. And you get to a point where it becomes difficult if you're not a shining star in ninth grade. Anyway, all that to say, I became very obsessed with like being the very best. I would write "prove" on my arm at a pretty young age. And I just had a few different experiences that made me think very carefully about the way our world sees and perceives like performance, and how we kind of highlight winning all the time. I had an experience when I was my sophomore year. It was in the middle of the summer, and the head basketball coach, who I had known because I went to all the camps and went to all the things, came to my house on a Sunday and told me that I was not going to make the team. To not even try out. Sorry, Cole, it's not for you. We pretty much have the roster all made. Like, this is like 4 months before tryouts, and I was heartbroken, because my whole mentality was, if I don't be on the team, if I'm not on the team, then I'm not like successful, and I'm not important, all these things that I had kind of built up in my mind. So he told me that, and I just remember feeling so heartbroken, but still, like, I'm also the kind of person that I'm very motivated, and I just like dug in. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna train harder, and I'm gonna try out, and I'm gonna make the team, and I'm gonna impress everybody, and I'm gonna be the hero, right? That didn't happen that way. I tried out, which I'm proud of. I'm proud that I tried out. But sports psychology sometimes does have this mentality of, I study sports psychology, so I'm working with Olympic athletes so they can win the gold medal, and when we win the gold medal, everybody's happy, and sports psychologists save the day, kind of thing. But with Carry On, one of the reasons why I love action sports is because it is this individual, it's up to me kind of experience. And it's less about if you get the award or win the money or get the W or get the win. And it's more about just making progress, falling a lot, making progress, falling a lot, making progress. And that's a really beautiful thing, because it takes a little bit off of the friction that comes with team sports, of depending on a coach to put you on the team, or to put you in the game, or the quarterback to throw you the ball. With skateboarding, it's out of your control. With skateboarding, it's completely in your control, and you can decide what that looks like for you. And I like that ownership, and I like that accountability. And I also like the framework of progress, not perfection. intrinsic motivations versus extrinsic motivations that we really, really focus on a lot at Carry On. Really just trying to understand, like, how can we help people feel accomplished? It sounds different than be accomplished, but to feel accomplished, like, I say that I'm proud that I tried out even though I didn't make the team, because I think there's value in helping all people understand and perceive what they're capable of. And I think that's like a really, really beautiful thing. We've had one of my favorite testimonials is a dad who sent a message into us, and he explained this conversation he had with his daughter. It was the last class at Carry On, and his daughter explained to him, like, I can't believe I did it. I'm the brave girl that dropped in. She just dropped in for the first time on the last class. And it was so beautiful to read that, because we claim we're teaching mental health here at Carry On. And I stand by that pretty strongly. A lot of people think of mental health as mental illnesses and mental disorders and treating, and those things are there and they're important, but we're a little bit further on the other side, which is preventative mental health. And part of that is somebody having this unlocking experience in their brain that says, like, I'm a skateboarder. I'm capable of skateboarding. I'm capable of doing this or attempting this or trying this or learning this or being a friend to this person. And I think I've always thought that was mental health, was perceiving and understanding that you're capable of something, which is, I think, pretty cool. The way that Carry On is formatted is we kind of call it the lecture and the lab, right? So the lecture part is we go into a classroom and literally teach students about sports psychology concepts and techniques and protocols and strategies and thought patterns. I mean, imagine being 8 years old and recognizing your thought patterns. That's pretty powerful, right? So you're teaching them these thought patterns, you're teaching them, and you're doing it in a classroom setting, but then the beautiful part, I think, is the lab part. And the lab part is when the 12-year-old is on top of a quarter pipe and they're dropping in for the first time, and they're hesitant, and they're scared, and they're worried, and they're not sure. And you have this beautiful experience, and our coaches are all trained on this, is, you know, this questioning technique kind of experience where it's like, tell me what you're thinking. We're not trying to hurry them. We're not blowing a whistle and saying faster, faster, faster. It's take me through what you're thinking right now. Oh, yeah, okay, so your brain is doing totally normal brain thing. Why? Because this is new to you. Why? Because this is important to you. Why? Because your mom is watching you. Makes sense, right? What do we call that? We call it the yellow mindset. We just talked about that in our lecture, right? And so the application part is, I think, what really separates Carry On from, like, just traditional therapy, which traditional therapy is great and works for some people. But especially for kids, this application of stress exposure gives them the opportunity to apply these protocols that we're teaching them, and then to see it, like, really happen in real life, where they make progress or they fall and then they get back up again. And either way, it's like we're really helping them understand that, like, this is part of the experience of growth, is the friction part. I had an experience just a few months ago where a student was on top of a ramp and they just barely learned how to drop in. So they're still feeling all of the tension in their stomach and a lot of the hesitancy, of course. And mom and dad were filming, which I don't always love, but mom and dad were filming carefully and closely and trying to get them to drop in. And I just paused because I was kind of right at the bottom, like ready to give them hands and help them. But I just paused and I said, if you don't do this right now, what would that mean? And it was great because it just stopped the anticipation and the pressure. Sometimes we push on athletes to go for it, do it, send it, that whole mentality, which of course there's some of that you need to get through. But where I was going with this conversation with this student was the meaning behind it, of the identity piece, right? So it's like, if you don't drop in right now, you're still a great skateboarder. You still are awesome, and you still are a success, and you still are all of these things that so often we say black and white thinking of, like, you either are, you landed it or you didn't land it, or you won or you lost it. But that student didn't drop in. And that's great, because they dropped in later the next day. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't need to build up so much of this anxiety in youth, especially, over an Instagram video that we wanted to capture. Sorry, mom and dad, but that's not always the best approach when we're working with kids and helping them kind of learn what that identity piece looks like for them, and how we give a stamp of approval based on kind of performance. I think the reason Carry On started was a few of us got together in a room and we were like, man, I've dealt with this, I've experienced this. And I don't know that I want to claim that it would have saved all of my problems and issues, but we give these kids the protocols, we give them the strategies, we're trying to help them to do physiological sigh breathing when they're feeling anxious and worried. We call it mountain breathing because it's easier to say. But yeah, I think to be able to have kind of a community that feels safe and that's not so, did you make the team? Did you not make the team? Did you score 30 points? But that was like, you know, willing to help me move through frictions and challenges that is skateboarding, for sure it would have helped me. And I absolutely would have helped some of my family members who also struggled with mental health. The coaching part is really important to me. At Carry On, we have some really good skateboarders that come to us and they're like, I love skateboarding and I'm a good skateboarder and I can coach skateboarding. And we're like, okay. Do you care about mental health? Do you care about kids? How do you handle class management? You know, some of these things that a lot of people would not expect because we're teaching skateboarding. But of course, our coach mentors need to know some skateboarding, but it's way bigger than that. Like, we're always trying to get our coaches to like pause if a student is really struggling, you know, and not make it so much about skateboarding if it needs to be about something else, but thinking carefully about the way we treat these kids and the way we see them in as always making progress and not if they succeeded or didn't succeed, whatever. But I think from those experiences with my sister and watching her struggle and suffer for so long and developing some addictive behaviors, it's critical that these young people, these young kids have good mentors that are not just mom and dad, you know, and that are skaters, that are cool, and but also that are caring and kind and listen, and not judgmental. Those are some of the key characteristics we look for some of our mentors. Yeah, I mean, the truth and the real answer to your question is my dad. You caught me at a interesting time because he passed away about 7 weeks ago. And I would say one of the great characteristics of my father was his ability to be thoughtful and reasonable, and just one of these people that is just down to earth, that thinks carefully before they react to things. I remember being 12 or 13 and really starting to care what other people thought, and really, am I a good basketball player, and am I all these things, and when I hit those teenage years, I found myself going to my dad a lot, because I go to my dad and just say, yeah, feeling this way, or going through this, or coach said this. And it was never reactive. It was honestly not always like, no, you're the best. You're the best in the world. You're the greatest. You're the best basketball player. Don't listen to your coach. It was like, yeah, what do you think of that? What does that mean for you? And what is that? And so I think I've always appreciated that a lot about my father. He was always somebody that you could go to and expect a thoughtful answer or response, and usually not even advice. Usually it was not, not do this, but think about this, which I think there's a big difference between, you should do this, versus something to consider is this. And it's difficult to not have that person in my life anymore, because I feel like I hopefully have a long life of a lot more things to come, and I'll want that, and I'll crave the ability to go to someone and just get the support. And in a way, I've never thought about this, but talking today has made me think about some of the coaching philosophy that I've tried to help our mentors develop and adopt is kind of that same type of characteristic that my dad had, of trying to find reasoning. What the biggest thing is, the difference between the real mentor in real life and the phone that's mentoring you is, the real mentor in real life is helping you understand the meaning of your experience. And I think meaning is really, really critical there, because on the phone, no one gives a shit about the meaning. They just want you to watch the video, and they want you to watch it to the end because it will mean views and it'll mean all those things or whatever. And the poor child at the age of 10 who's experiencing this and watching this is creating their own unhealthy meaning of what that video is, or what it isn't compared to them, and the comparison piece, right? Whereas the in-person mentor hopefully is offering the meaning that is way healthier. And this is true outside of Carry On. There's incredible mentors that are hopefully helping these kids that are like, the meaning is this. If you don't drop in right now, that's okay. You're still a success. You're still awesome and amazing and kind, and you're all of these things. That's what this means. There's no the meaning is still there. It doesn't change the fact that you've made it or you haven't made it, which I leaned on my dad a lot for that experience.